pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call Lamar City Council regular meeting for Tuesday, January 21, 2025 to order. We'll start with roll call, please.
Goodchild,
Yes.
Wick,
Yes.
Sturgeon,
Here.
Bruns,
Here.
Hick,
Here.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. General discussion. Any citizens here to address the council? Seeing none, we'll move along to thumbs up award. I'll start to my left. Mark, what do you have?
Thumbs up to the Chamber for a great annual awards dinner and to Assistant Chief Justin Dale for the United Way Outstanding Volunteer Award.
Yeah.
I will echo those sentiments. Very nice night.
I'll echo those as well, and a thumbs up to Chief Shipper there in the back. I'm glad to see you're back at the council meeting and doing a little better. So.
Thumbs up. Richie just walked in. How was your water leak in sub-zero temperatures the other day? Got her done. That's always a good thing to see. Those guys out on the weekends at night fixing water mains in no matter what conditions. So thumbs up to the water department.
Yes.
Brian, thanks. Brad.
I have same on with regard to the chamber dinner. All of the chamber staff, the speakers that spoke, I'd like to give them a thumbs up too, just to go through the community development plan and explain sort of the why on some of the things that we're doing. So thumbs up to that. The host, the Garage at 800 as well, and all of our city staff that are out working in this cold. Police, fire, city, straight, every one of you guys, thumbs up for, as Clark said, for being there whenever it's needed.
Good point. Okay, moving on to consent items. Under the consent items, we have an approval of the January 7, 2025 regular meeting minutes and January 14, 2025 special meeting minutes. List of bills for period ending 1/17/25, monthly financial statement for December 2024, and a renewal of the liquor license for Dusty Lady and Peru, and urban revitalization tax exemption request.
I'll make a motion, we accept consent items 1 through 5.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Moving on to action items. Parkview Terrace Mobile Home Park rezoning. On the January 7, 2025, the Planning and Zoning Commission approved the proposed rezoning of 2 parcels of property at the Parkview Terrace Mobile Home Park located at 76 16th Street Northwest. Parcel 12-08-376-013 is located at the east end of the mobile home park and currently zoned RC or Conservation District. Parcel 12-08-376-012 is on the south end of the mobile home park and zoned B2 or General Business District. They would like both parcels to be rezoned to R2 or Apartment District, which is now the rest of the mobile home park is zoned. This would allow them to expand the mobile home park into these 2 parcels. Administration and the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend that the City Council proceed to a public hearing to rezone.
Is it appropriate to ask a question about this prior to hearing?
Sure.
Mark, this would maybe be something for you. The east parcel, and maybe Chief Shipper, the east parcel, we had talked about another road for the development of that land to the north. How would this affect that, if at all?
It won't.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got enough room. If you measure that, it's the same width as the street to the west of that.
Okay.
They've got enough room to put in their own drive and put one row trailers in there. It won't encroach on our property at all.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So this is being zoned for trailers? 4 trailers?
Yep.
Is there any stipulations, is there gonna be stipulations on the trailers? Like newer models than, or what, any stipulations, or are they just gonna be paths for lease?
That would be up to the owner of the mobile home court.
So the mobile home court is looking to expand them?
Yeah, he owns that property.
Mark, do you know if there's any plan to connect to that road that'll be going to the property in the north, or are they just gonna still have the one entrance in the park?
No, there is a stub at the north end near where our grass and tree dump is. Eventually, if we put that street in, we'll hook into that so you can get out that way as well.
On that, does this stick out farther east than that stub does? Will it dogleg once it gets back there? Or will the street be on the east side, so you got the Galen ball fields, and then you got the drive to the Twig and Branch, and then you've got this east side strip. Where's that stub street at?
It already exists.
I know it, but does it come into the red part
No,
that we're rezoned?
It's either Center Street or Broadview Drive.
Right.
One of those two.
Come in here.
Yeah, it already kind of jogs over there
Yeah, so it
because there's
comes
some,
into that.
at the very north end, there's some already there.
correct,
This is just south of those.
correct.
Yeah.
Clark? Just to the north of this proposed.
Okay, it just looks to me like it would have to dogleg. Anyway, let's move forward.
It's Center Street, and it's already there with a gate that we use for emergencies to get into the trailer court if the other entrance is blocked. So it already exists, but it's gated.
Okay, but,
And it's not into our property at all, it's in the trailer court itself, basically. The gate separates our property from the court.
okay, okay, good enough.
So it shouldn't be any
How,
kind of dogleg
So
or
it'll be a straight T.
straight T, yes.
okay, I'll just take your word for that. How wide is this, Mark? Can you?
140 feet.
Okay. I mean, I'm looking for information, it's not.
Yep.
Okay.
And
we
he
have
already,
mobile
he already
home.
owns all this, right? I mean,
He
this isn't
currently
part
owns
of
it.
a transaction or
No,
anything like
he-
that.
He owns that.
It was Bob Michael who owns it now.
It's a gentleman out of Alaska, Hagen,
Greg Stent. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
and he owns other mobile home parks.
All right, sounds good, thank you.
We have, all our mobile home regulations are in our code of ordinance.
Right. Okay, that's fine.
And I'd make a motion to establish February 4th, 2025 at 12 p.m. as a public hearing to rezone parcel 1208 376013 from RC to R2, and to rezone parcel 1208 376012 from B2 to R2.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to action item D2, ISG Services Agreement, Lamar's Industrial Park 5th Edition. Attached is a service agreement with ISG to provide design work for industrial park expansion. ISG will provide the conceptual layouts for the remaining city-owned land down to C38. These concepts will provide direction for ISG to design Industrial Park 5th Edition. Industrial Park 5th Edition will include the extension of Industrial Road to the south and east-west street to join with Lincoln Avenue, and the extension of utilities such as water, sanitary, storm, and rail. The administration recommends the council approve the agreement. The cost will be charged to the Industrial Park Fund and reimbursed by TIP.
How do you lay out rail when you don't know the future needs? I'm, by the way, 100% pro rail, so I am curious.
Yeah, by the way, my name is Dave Ectum, Civil Engineer with ISG, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having us here. That's what we'll work closely with city staff on. So there's an existing rail plan that shows a rail continuing further south and eventually out to the west. And that's the plan that we'll develop to say, are we gonna follow that same path, or are we gonna stop within the industrial park and end the rail spur there?
And when you say city, I'm assuming you're including Burlington Junction in on all these discussions, I would assume. So
Yep.
is the rail gonna go straight out and dead end at C38? Now, I know you're gonna have, I'm hoping you have several that go into, so I'm a little vague on how you're gonna do that.
That's what we gotta determine, whether it's gonna stop at C38 or end on one of the spurs. We wanna determine where the spurs are gonna be located to serve which lots, and how that rail line is gonna end or be extended in the future.
I can't tell you that before you pay him. And so we're authorizing to pay him.
Then maybe we won't pay them. No, but have you guys designed rail before?
Yeah, we're working on a rail extension right now for the 4th edition.
But have you done it before that, like in other projects?
Yep.
You have worked on rail?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve the agreement with ISG to provide professional services for the design and bidding of Lamar's Industrial Park, 5th edition, with a not-to-exceed amount of $147,300.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Mark, so across the street when we did the pet parlor, I'll just call it that, who did that? Was that Beck? Engineer? Who did that?
JEO.
Huh?
JEO.
JEO did that one?
Yeah.
Okay. How are we picking who's doing what? I'm curious. How do we pick on these projects, these different projects, who's doing what?
Well, ISG was picked for this because they did Industrial Park 4th.
Okay, so okay.
So it's just,
It's a tag on to it. Okay.
ISG did our master plan for the industrial park, and so we just felt they had the information and the knowledge to continue to head south.
Okay. All right. I was just curious. Thank you.
And as far as Southview, JEO had done some preliminary work in Southview, so we just continued on with
them.
what they had done so they could complete it.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks. I was just curious.
Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, item D3, water tower site lease, Pegasus. Attached is the original water tower site lease with Pegasus for the water tower site located on 10th Street Southeast, and a proposed amendment to extend the term of the agreement. The current agreement with extensions expires on July 13, 2031. The amendment will extend the term to July 13, 2051. The city currently receives roughly $3,150 a month for the use of this site. Administration recommends council approve the amendment. What's the rush in amending this, given that it?
AT&T wants to improve their equipment on there, so they want the lease extended, because Pegasus has the lease with us, AT&T has a lease with Pegasus.
Okay.
So that's the whole purpose of it. They don't want to do the upgrade if they're not gonna know they got the lease.
Oh,
We
okay.
basically get 75% of the revenue that they generate from these leases. And there's an annual rider that increases that amount each year.
Okay.
We've been very beneficial having Pegasus partnered with them to do this, because we're getting the most from this tower than any other tower in Northwest Iowa. So it's been very beneficial to have him work for us, basically.
Do they have any interest in the other tower?
They would do it, but I don't know if there's interest in putting anything on the tower right at this moment.
For you mean? Or for us?
For anybody, to lease that area up there to put anything else on there.
Okay.
He would be interested in it, but I don't know for sure. I mean, I've been approached by Verizon once, and they showed interest, but then it just died off that fast too, so.
A side note, so what's our maintenance contract on that tower? 150 a year?
They're 30-some thousand for each one of them.
Okay, that's our maintenance contract?
Yes, yep.
So basically,
It's almost, the money we get from the.
Almost is a swap.
Almost, yeah.
Okay,
covers it.
excellent.
Yep. And Rick from Pegasus would have been here, but he had to take his wife to Mayo for some treatment, so that's why he's not here.
Motion to adopt the amendment to the water tower site lease agreement with Pegasus, originally dated 7/13/01, and extend the term to July 13th, 51.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to D4. All right, how do you say that? Eocene?
Good enough.
Eocene Service Agreement, Centennial Asbestos. Attached is a service agreement from Eocene Environmental Group to provide an asbestos survey for the Centennial building located at 1140 3rd Avenue Southeast. This is needed as a precursor to asbestos removal and potential demolition of the building. The city originally sold the building in 2012 and eventually bought the building back in 2024. It's unclear whether an asbestos survey was done prior to 2012. No documentation can be found. Enough time has passed that a new survey should be completed. Administration recommends council approve the agreement to perform the survey, and the council should consider asbestos removal and demolition to follow soon after. Financial impact, IDNR money currently is not available. The city could apply for an EPA grant, but if awarded, that money would not be available until November of 2025. The property currently is included in the Lamar's Highway 75 bypass urban renewal area and is therefore eligible for TIF reimbursement of costs. Costs would need to be certified by December 1st, 2026.
All right, so some updates since that was written and sent to you guys. And thanks to Sitzman Real Estate, because they were our contracted realtor back at that time. So they had kept a pretty good file. So they went through it. There was a survey done, dated May of 2012, okay? As part of the purchase agreement, the city removed from the 3rd and 4th floors the texture on the ceilings, because that was found to have asbestos in it. So did 1 and 2, but they only wanted 3 or 4 done, so we did do that. Otherwise, the rest of it was sold as is, okay, the rest of the building. So whether or not the previous owner did anything, we have no clue. So some questions came up to whether or not this was still good enough if we decided to move forward with abatement of the asbestos in there. I found out from DNR this morning that these are only valid for a year. So if we decide to remove the asbestos and eventually demo the building, we'd have to do a new survey, which is being proposed here.
But that survey would have to be done the year the building is demolished?
Yeah. So that's the bigger question that needs to be made.
For 12 months.
Yeah.
Huh?
Or the year to abate it, and then you don't ever have to have another survey done.
Right, you could do asbestos removal and not demolish the
Yeah,
building.
we could do that. We could do that.
I don't know. If the survey is only good for, why would they not require you to do another one? Because I question, I mean, I'm gonna take your word for it, and I'm gonna take.
No, what he's saying is, if we do this survey, you need to take the asbestos out within a year, or you're gonna have to redo the survey. You don't necessarily have to demolish the entire building.
And if you
But I get
remove
the
what the
question,
survey shows.
I'm
you
thinking.
might be right.
I'm questioning that.
Okay.
Because it would seem to me, I mean, we got a key to the building, we go in and we look up and we see popcorn on floor number 1, floor number 2, okay, we know they didn't do it, okay? And I'd expect that, but I guess the bottom line is, we have to time doing this.
Yeah, so
maybe this needs further discussion, because I think everybody knows what's gonna happen.
Well, that's the bigger question. The way I said here, right now, we do have a funding source
In TIF.
in TIF, if we just want to rid the community of this building.
Have we got any current ballpark estimates? as
Not
to TIF?
current. All I have is
I mean, like Woodkime Science Hall.
2012, the price that Alloy Specialty put on the abatement of this asbestos, and the high end was about $283,000 to remove what's in this report.
But part of that is done now.
So just texture on 2 floors.
Okay, okay,
The rest is, I'm gonna guess, is still in there.
okay. So TIF being a funding source, we know that any price we were given in 2012 has more than likely gone up substantially. So then do we have any idea, any ballpark idea what it's gonna cost us to demolish it once it's gone? Okay, so I think.
They're all old numbers,
I think that
because you
that's
asked
more.
about time. That
If
was-
timing is the issue, Mike, then I think we need to get some pretty, not the abatement necessarily, but okay, if we only have 12 months, because that's kind of how I'm taking it, then once we pull the trigger, we know we're spending X amount of dollars. So I think we need some fresh ideas, and I'm not asking for but I think we have some demolishing companies that could give us a ballpark idea, I would assume. So we know what we're looking at before we pull the trigger on the time clock. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think we'll be able to get an estimate on the demolition. We won't be able to get an estimate on the abatement.
I agree that.
because-
We're gonna have to hire that done.
And I do think, hasn't abatement costs in asbestos actually come down because people are more comfortable handling it than
More people are handling it,
yeah, I don't know,
competition.
yeah. Anyway, maybe I'm completely wrong on that.
So I'll go however the timing is, but if we commit to a time clock by doing this right now, do we want to tighten up our time frame a little bit in how we're gonna do this? It's a question.
Yeah, so what you could do, I mean, and that's fine. I mean, we can